Elowen sat in the cold chamber, the coarse gray cloth against her skin rough as sand. The fabric scratched her arms and reminded her of her place. Her sister Marcella gleamed like sunlight itself, bright silk gown in golden hues, smooth and lustrous, her dark curls catching every flicker of light. The family surrounded Marcella, praising her beauty, her elegance, her charm. But when their eyes turned toward Elowen, their expressions hardened. "Plain," her mother whispered. "Too quiet. What good is she?" Her father's sigh landed heavy, like iron striking stone. "You'll never win a husband like this," they said, their words sharp as knives. They commanded Elowen to serve Marcella, to stand in her shadow, to fade into the background. "Go with her. Sit behind her. Keep silent," her mother ordered. And Elowen understood. This was her punishment for being born lacking, for not being enough. She was tolerated, never celebrated. Marcella's laughter rang like silver bells, and their mother's smile bloomed wide with pride. But when her gaze fell upon Elowen, her eyes turned cold, her heart empty. Elowen looked down, her chest tight, her breath shallow as if a band squeezed her ribs. Soon, they said, Marcella would be wed, a grand match to the Lord of Greystone. For Marcella, it was triumph. For Elowen, it was torment. Watching her sister step into the life she could only dream of was cruel, like being forced to stand in the shadows of another's sun. The mirror offered no comfort. Every morning it revealed the same truth. Brown hair without shine, soft hazel eyes that carried no spark, pale skin without glow. "Try harder," her mother demanded. But how? How could she change her face, her voice, the very marrow of herself? Each day, Elowen repeated the same mantra: stay silent. Do not hope. Do not dream. Yet deep within, a small flame refused to die. Why do they not see me too? She had a heart, a mind, dreams locked away in a chest no one cared to open. She was the spare daughter, the unneeded one, the mistake. Soon Marcella would be married, and Elowen would remain, forgotten, invisible, left to fade into corners. The thought twisted her stomach, made her hands tremble. Was this all her life would ever be? Serving others, unseen, unheard? She closed her eyes and made one fragile wish. Please let someone see me, if only once. Far away, within the stone halls of Greystone, the Lord paced his corridors. His name was Cedric, Earl of Greystone, a title weighted with centuries of history. He looked formidable, tall and broad, dark hair falling over his brow. But inside, his heart was soft, bruised, too easily hurt. Wealth and honor meant little to him, they rang hollow. People whispered that Cedric was stern, distant, that he smiled too little. Yet his eyes missed nothing. He saw truth in the smallest kindness, in words spoken gently, in gestures overlooked. The marriage contract sat heavy on his desk, marked with seals, Marcella's name written in elegant script. Duty bound him to this union, yet his chest remained hollow. He had no love for courtly games, for empty smiles and false dances. His soul carried an old grief, a mother lost to fever, a father consumed by despair, a sister carried off by the same sickness. He learned early that people left, that hearts broke, that trust died. Servants whispered of his coldness, but they did not know his truth. Cedric was not cruel, he was cautious. He valued honesty above all else, cherished kindness and inner strength over beauty and wealth. His private chambers were filled with books on healing, on service, on ways to mend the broken world. Quietly, he gave to the poor, aided families in need. He never boasted, never sought recognition. People thought his heart frozen because they could not see how fiercely it beat, waiting for someone worthy of its warmth. He longed for a soul who would not care for his title or coin, but for the man beneath. The meeting with Marcella was set for 5 nights hence, and Cedric's stomach twisted with dread. Another polished face, another shallow smile, another heart that would not see him. Yet honor demanded he go. He would meet her. He would try. Still, in the secret depths of his heart, he prayed for something real, something true. Someone who could pierce his defenses and mend wounds long left to ache. The night of the gathering came swiftly. Candles blazed in crystal holders, their light spilling across the walls of the Aldmere Hall, silk draperies glowing in golden flame. Nobles filled the chamber, jewels sparkling, silks rustling like restless leaves. Elowen entered at Marcella's side, but it seemed only Marcella was seen, while Elowen drifted in her wake like a shadow. Eyes turned eagerly toward Marcella, voices whispering, gazes sharp. She met them with her radiant smile, perfected and bright as morning sun. Her gown shimmered in sapphire silk, deep as ocean tide, her eyes catching the glow like stars. Elowen remained small at the edge of the hall, wrapped in gray, her thoughts as muted as her dress. Her hands trembled like autumn leaves she could not still. Then the crowd parted. Silence rippled through the room. Cedric had arrived. His dark coat fit him with stark precision, every step steady, deliberate, his presence commanding. The air shifted with him, heavy and expectant. All eyes fixed on his approach toward Marcella. This was the moment the gathering had been waiting for. Marcella lifted her chin, her smile sharpened, ready for triumph. But then, Cedric's eyes slowed, searching, piercing past Marcella's bright exterior, past her practiced charm, past her shining gown. His gaze landed on Elowen. Time seemed to stop. Across the sea of faces, their eyes met, hazel to dark, heart to heart. The hall fell into stillness. Then Cedric moved, not toward Marcella, but toward Elowen. Each step deliberate, purposeful, unshaken. The crowd gasped, feet shifted, whispers rose like wind. "What is he doing?" Someone hissed. He stopped before her, close enough for her to feel the weight of his presence. Then he bowed, deep and reverent, not to Marcella, not to the family, but to Elowen. "My lady," he said, his voice rich, steady as a river's current. Elowen's heart thundered like wild horses. Why her? Why not Marcella? She looked behind her, but no one stood there. Cedric's eyes remained locked on hers, firm, steady, as though she were the only soul in the hall. Marcella's perfect smile faltered, just slightly, like ice breaking at the edge of spring. Their mother's face turned pale, then flushed red, then drained again. "Your Grace," Elowen whispered, her voice thin and trembling but audible. "Would you grant me a dance?" Cedric asked. His words struck the hall like thunder. No one stirred. No one breathed. Marcella was supposed to dance first. That had been the plan, the expectation, the unspoken contract. Yet Cedric's hand extended, palm open, steady. Elowen stared at that hand. Strong fingers, a gentle invitation. For the first time in her life, someone chose her first. Her small hand slipped into his, warm against firm steadiness. He guided her to the center of the floor. The crowd gave way once more, but this time for her. The violins began, their notes soft and sweet, drifting like dreams. Cedric moved with care, leading without force, letting her find her steps in his rhythm. "Why me?" Elowen whispered as they turned. Cedric's eyes held hers, kind and unwavering. "Because you are real," he answered simply. For words, yet they unraveled years of shadows. For the first time, Elowen felt seen. Not as Marcella's shadow, not as the forgotten daughter, not as the plain one, but as herself. As Elowen. The music ended too soon, but something new had begun, a fragile thread of hope weaving itself into her heart. Cedric bowed again. "Thank you," he said, as though she had given him a gift beyond measure. Then he withdrew, called away to greet Marcella out of courtesy. But his eyes returned to Elowen across the room, and in that look she glimpsed a promise, the possibility of a future she had never dared to imagine. Days passed like a slow river until the carriage came for her. Elowen's few belongings fit neatly into a single trunk, plain dresses, well-thumbed books, and a pressed flower from her family's garden. The journey to Greystone was long and hushed, her heart racing the entire way. Fear whispered to her, strange halls, new faces, unfamiliar rules. What if she failed? What if Cedric changed his mind? But Cedric met her at the great door. His smile was soft, real as dawn after storm. "Welcome home," he said. Home. The word warmed her chest, filled her like light. Patiently, he showed her through each chamber. "This is the library," he said at last, and her breath caught. Books covered every wall from floor to ceiling, more than she had ever dreamed. "May I read them?" she asked. "They are yours as well now," Cedric replied, simple and sure. The dining hall stretched long, but Cedric drew out a chair at the smaller table by the window. "I thought you would like the morning light," he said. He had considered her comfort, something no one had ever done before. Their days soon found a gentle rhythm. Cedric's kindness appeared in small acts, pulling out her chair, pouring her tea before his own, asking if she was warm, if she needed anything. Each time Elowen blushed, uncertain why he cared, but grateful that he did. Each morning she wandered the gardens where roses tangled with herbs in fragrant chaos. Cedric often joined her, speaking little, but listening intently when she shared her thoughts, her fears, her small hopes, her observations. He made her feel her words mattered. He never raised his voice, never diminished her, never treated her as unworthy. It unsettled her at first. Men were supposed to be stern, demanding. Yet Cedric was different. Gentle. Safe. Elowen could not stay idle, so she helped Mrs. Chun in the kitchens. The cook, with her round face and warm laugh, welcomed her. You've good hands for this, Mrs. Chun said as Elowen kneaded bread. She learned to steep herbs for aches, to mend torn cloth, to fix buttons and frayed seams. Her fingers were quick, clever, remembering the work of care. One evening Cedric appeared in the kitchen, weary from the day. Your lordship, Mrs. Chin said with a smile, Miss Elowen made soup. It will cure your cold. Cedric looked surprised. You made this? He asked. Elowen nodded, shy. It's simple, nothing special. He tasted, closed his eyes, and said, it is perfect. Warmth bloomed in Elowen's chest, pride, purpose. She could be useful. She could do good. As days stretched, she grew braver. She explored rooms, met servants who treated her kindly. They called her Miss with genuine respect. One maid, Sarah, whispered, he likes you, Miss. Truly likes you. Elowen laughed softly. Not me, Sarah. I am nothing remarkable. But Sarah shook her head. You see the way he looks at you, as though you are sunlight itself. Cedric brought her small gifts, a slim book of poetry, a pressed flower, a sketchbook. I noticed you watch the birds, he said. Perhaps you might like to draw them. He noticed things about her that no one else ever had. At meals, he asked about her day and cared about the answers. When she mentioned the herb garden was neglected, Cedric said simply, then we shall restore it. The next morning gardeners came, working where she guided them. They listened, they followed her vision. She felt valued, important. Her old life began to fade like a bad dream. Cold chambers, cruel words, emptiness. Here was something new, something good. And yet, late at night, doubt still whispered. What if it ends? What if he tires of me? What if Marcella returns with her perfect smile? Elowen tried to silence the thoughts, but they lingered like shadows. Still, she was happy, truly happy for the first time. Could it last? Weeks turned to months, and Elowen grew stronger, like a flower given sunlight at last. Mrs. Chin taught her to use herbs, which leaves eased pain, which roots calmed fever, which blossoms stopped bleeding. When a servant cut his hand on glass, Elowen cleaned the wound, pressed a salve, and bound it with care. Thank you, miss, he said, flexing his fingers. Better already. Word spread quickly, Miss Elowen could heal. She baked golden loaves, light as air, sweet as honey. Cedric ate 3 slices in one sitting. The best I've ever tasted, he said, and her heart glowed. She learned to keep the household accounts, neat rows of numbers, orders for supplies, wages for workers. Cedric reviewed her work, nodding. You have a gift for this. A gift. The word felt wondrous, new. When Dr. James, the village physician, visited, he studied her herb work and bandages with keen eyes. Remarkable, he said. You have natural skill. Would you like to learn more? Cedric answered before she could. Yes. Anything she wishes to learn. Books arrived soon after, real medical texts with diagrams and detailed knowledge. Elowen devoured them eagerly, like a starved soul offered a feast. Soon servants came to her before calling the doctor. She set broken fingers, eased coughs, soothed fevers, even guided a woman safely through childbirth. She saved my baby, the woman wept. Miss Elowen saved us both. Word spread to the village, and people began to arrive at Greystone asking for her aid. Cedric never turned them away. The door is always open, he said. Purpose swelled in Elowen's chest, roots digging deep like a tree that had at last found soil. Her hands grew steady. Her back straightened. No more tremors, no more fear. The mirror showed the same features, but now reflected strength, confidence, worth. Cedric saw it too. You are blooming, he told her one evening as they walked the gardens. Like the roses? She asked. Like yourself, he said. Your true self. She no longer needed beauty to shine. She had something greater. She had worth. Real worth, born from within. The servants spoke of her with quiet respect. Miss Elowen did this. Miss Elowen solved that. Not because she was Cedric's choice, but because she earned it. She managed the household with a calm grace, untangling problems before they grew large. When the cook fell ill, Elowen stepped in, and every meal emerged flawless, timely, delicious, warm. How did you learn all this? Cedric asked, astonished. I watched. I listened. I tried, Elowen answered simply. But it was more than that. She cared. She paid attention. She wanted to help. Her old family had never allowed her to try, never given her the space to grow. Here, Cedric encouraged her, nurtured every skill, supported every dream. What else would you like to learn? He asked often. Languages. Music. Art. The world opened wide with possibility. She was no longer the shadowed daughter, no longer the forgotten one. She was Elowen, healer, helper, homemaker. She was enough, more than enough. For the first time in her life, she believed it. One night in late autumn, rain lashed against the windows, the wind howling like a lone wolf across the moors. The fire crackled in the sitting room, its orange glow casting restless shadows on the walls. Elowen sat near the hearth, a book resting in her lap, though she did not read. Her eyes lingered on Cedric. He gazed into the flames, his face distant, lined with sorrow. "Are you well?" she asked gently. His eyes shifted, heavy with shadows of old grief. "Just remembering. Tonight makes 5 years since they left me." Elowen's heart tightened. She knew loss, different but still loss. She closed her book, moved closer, not too near, but near enough. "Tell me," she urged softly. His voice came quiet, like secrets unburdened in darkness. "Fever took them one by one. Mother first. Then father. Then my sister, Anna. I could not save them. I tried." His hands clenched in his lap. "You were alone," Elowen whispered. "So alone," Cedric admitted. Silent halls. No laughter. No love. Elowen understood that emptiness. "I was alone too," she said. "Different, but the same. My family saw me as a burden. An extra mouth to feed. A mistake." Cedric turned sharply to her, astonishment in his gaze. "How could they not see?" "See what?" "Your kindness. Your strength. Your beautiful heart." Her breath caught. Beautiful heart. No one had ever said such a thing. They saw only what I was not. Not pretty like Marcella, not charming, not wanted. "Their loss," Cedric said fiercely, fire flashing in his eyes. "Their terrible loss." They sat in silence then, rain beating on the glass, the fire crackling steadily. After a while, Cedric spoke again. "I feared trusting again. People leave. Hearts break. Why risk it?" "But you chose me," Elowen whispered. "Why?" Cedric's voice softened. "Because you are real. You do not want my title, my wealth, or my name." "What I want then?" she asked, almost breathless. "Me. Only me." The words hung between them like music. Elowen's hand shifted slowly, carefully, until her fingers brushed his. Cedric went still, like a deer hearing danger. "Is this all right?" she whispered. His hand turned upward, their fingers lacing together. "More than all right," he murmured. His hand was warm, strong, safe. They sat like that while the storm raged outside, bound in a new closeness. "I was so afraid that first day," Elowen confessed. "I thought it couldn't be real." "It is real," Cedric said. "More real than anything I've ever known. But what if Marcella had come alone? What if you had never seen me?" He squeezed her hand gently. "But I did see you. And you saw me. Past the walls, past the fears, to the man inside." Her heart swelled so full she feared it might break. "I love," she began, then stopped, trembling. "What?" he asked softly. "I love how safe you make me feel." Cedric's eyes shone. "And I love how you make me feel alive again." The words were not yet "I love you," but they were close. So close. A bond was forming between them, deeper than need, stronger than arrangement. It was true, steady, something that could last. Something like love. The fire burned low, the rain softened, but they did not move. The moment was perfect, sacred, worth holding forever. Two lonely hearts finding one another at last. Two wounded souls beginning to heal together. But spring arrived with cruel timing. Just as Elowen's joy blossomed, the past came hammering at the door. Angry voices filled the hall. She froze when she heard them, her mother's sharp tones, her father's heavy steps, Marcella's light tread. They pushed past the butler, barging into Greystone like an invading army. Cedric stood firm at the entry, calm but unyielding. "What is the meaning of this?" he asked, his voice cold as steel. Her mother sneered, her face twisted with fury. "She is a thief." She spat. "A liar, a cheat." The words struck Elowen like blows. Old fears rose, dark and choking. "Explain yourself," Cedric said quietly, dangerously quiet. "The contract was for Marcella," her father declared. "Not this nothing girl." Marcella stood silent for once, her polished smile gone. "She stole Marcella's place," their mother accused. "Tricked you somehow. Bewitched you." Elowen's hands shook. Her chest tightened until she could scarcely breathe. The voices of her past screamed in her skull. "You are nothing. You are wrong. You do not deserve this." "She has no right," her mother hissed. "No beauty, no grace, no worth." Cedric stepped forward, his voice cutting through like a blade. "Enough." The word filled the hall, final and absolute. "Elowen has every right. She is my choice. My only choice." But Elowen barely heard him. The old poison had crept back into her blood. What if they were right? What if she had fooled herself? Marcella's voice finally rang out, bitter and sharp. The whole town laughs, Elowen. They say you are the wrong sister, the broken one. Elowen shrank inside herself, wilting like a flower in frost. Her family departed with more venom, leaving behind the echo of cruelty. That night she sat by her window, staring into the void. Cedric found her there, small, broken again. They are wrong, he said softly. Are they? Elowen whispered. Look at me. Truly look. I am plain. Ordinary. Nothing special. Cedric knelt at her side, taking her hands gently. Then I must tell you something. A secret I have kept. He crossed to his desk and drew out an old letter, yellowed with age. My mother wrote this before she died. Read it. Elowen's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. The faded ink spoke clearly. My dearest son, I have seen your path in dreams. You will not marry for beauty or status, but for love, true love. Seek the woman with a gentle heart, with healing hands, with quiet strength. She will save your soul, as you will save hers. Wait for her, my darling boy. She is worth the wait. Tears blurred Elowen's vision. Cedric's voice thickened with emotion. She wrote this 5 years ago. I promised her I would wait, that I would know her when I saw her. Do you not see, Elowen? You are the one. The gentle heart. The healing hands. The quiet strength. But I am not beautiful, Elowen whispered. You are beautiful to me, Cedric said. Inside and out. Where it matters most. Elowen wanted to believe him. But the poison of her family's words lingered still. The town thinks. The town does not know you, Cedric cut in firmly. They cannot see your worth. But I do. Cedric drew out another paper from his desk, heavy with an official seal. I had this written the day after we met, he said. Elowen's breath caught. Her name was there in black ink, not Marcella's, but hers. Legal. Binding. But why? She whispered. You hardly knew me then. Cedric's smile was quiet, tender. I knew enough. You cared for the servants. You spoke gently. Your eyes were kind. That was enough. But what if I disappoint you? She asked, fear twisting in her chest. Impossible, he replied. Yet doubt had deep roots in her heart, like weeds that clung no matter how she pulled. The gossip in the town grew louder, harsher. Whispers followed her when she passed. Poor Earl, saddled with the plain sister. She must have tricked him. Each word was a cut, each rumor a wound. Slowly, Elowen began to see herself through their cruel eyes again. Plain, wrong, unworthy. She drifted from Cedric little by little, day by day. She kept to her work, but the joy dimmed, the light fading. Cedric saw it, and it broke him piece by piece. But how does one fight old wounds, old poison, old lies? How does one prove love when the beloved cannot yet love herself? That battle raged not outside but inside Elowen's own heart, and it was the hardest of all. A month passed in gray silence. Elowen seemed to shrink like a candle burning itself away. Cedric watched, helpless, his heart breaking anew each day. Then came the town festival. Everyone would be there, including her family. We do not have to attend, Cedric said gently. But something stirred within Elowen, fragile yet insistent. No, she answered softly. I want to go. He looked at her, startled. Are you certain? Elowen lifted her chin just a little. Yes. The festival blazed with ribbons and music, laughter rising like smoke into the spring air. Yet when Elowen entered, the whispers began at once, fingers pointing, eyes watching. Her family stood at the center, Marcella in gleaming blue silk, flawless as ever. They saw her coming and smiled their cold, sharp smiles. Look, her mother said loudly enough for all to hear. The thief arrives. People turned to stare. Elowen's steps faltered, the old fear clawing up her throat. But then she remembered, Mrs. Chen's smile when her burned hand was soothed, Dr. James's words calling her skill remarkable, the woman who wept, thanking her for saving her child, Cedric's voice whispering, You are beautiful to me. The servants who called her miss with honest respect. The lives she had touched, the good she had done, the love she had given and received. Elowen stopped in the heart of the crowd. Her voice came small at first, then stronger. I am not a thief. Her mother's laugh rang cruel. Look at you, little mouse, pretending to roar. I am not pretending, Elowen said louder. I have gifts. Real ones. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I heal. I help. I make lives better. Her eyes searched the faces before her. Mrs. Rose, I delivered your son when he came too early. Mrs. Rose nodded quickly. You saved us both, Lady Elowen. Tom Miller, I set your broken arm when Dr. James was away. Tom raised his arm high. Strong as ever. She did it herself. Voices rose around her, people stepping forward, testifying. She cured my daughter's fever. She saved my grandson at birth. She eased my wife's breathing. Each voice gave her strength. Each memory fueled her courage. I run a household of 20 souls, she declared, voice clear now. I keep the accounts, plan the meals, solve the troubles. I am not Marcella, but I have worth. True worth. Marcella's smile faltered, trembling at the edges. Worth? You call that worth? Yes. Cedric's voice rang out, cutting through the crowd. All fell silent as he stepped to her side, proud and unshaken. She has the gift of healing, of kindness, of strength. She turned my empty house into a home. She brought life back to my heart. His eyes locked coldly on her parents. You cast away a treasure because you could not see beyond the surface. Power surged in Elowen's chest, real living power. I am not perfect, she said firmly, but I am worthy. Her gaze met her mother's. You taught me I was nothing. You were wrong. Her father shifted uneasily. Elowen, you should not. I should not what? Speak truth? Stand tall. Know my worth? The crowd murmured in approval, nodding, agreeing. I am Elowen. I am a healer. I am Cedric's chosen wife. And I am enough. Marcella stepped forward. For the first time, her poise cracked. I am sorry, she whispered. The words shocked the crowd, and even herself. I was jealous when he chose you. I could not see what he saw, but I do now. Her eyes brimmed with tears. You are better than me. In the ways that matter. Their mother's face burned red, then went pale. She had no words left. Slowly, the crowd began to clap, hesitant at first, then louder, rising like thunder until it filled the square. They were clapping for Elowen, for her truth, for her courage. Cedric's hand closed around hers. I am so proud of you. Elowen smiled, truly smiled. For the first time in months, she felt whole again. The timid girl she once was gone. This was her real self, the one who had always been waiting to emerge. Her family left that same day, silent, shamed, defeated. But Marcella lingered. She approached Elowen carefully, as though nearing a fragile bird. May I speak with you? She asked softly. Elowen nodded, more curious than angry. Together they walked into the garden, away from listening ears. Marcella's polished composure had cracked. True emotion shone through. I owe you truth, she said quietly. When we were children, I knew you were different. Different how? You found the lost puppy no one else could. You always sensed when I was sad, even when I hid it. You had a gift. Marcella's voice trembled. But mother and father only cared for appearances. They taught me to see only that too. Why tell me now? Because I feel hollow inside, Marcella confessed. Pretty but empty. A shell. While you have substance. Worth. Real beauty that comes from within. Cedric saw it at once. What took me years to understand. I want to be better. Like you. I want to mean something. For the first time, the sisters truly looked at one another. It's never too late to choose kindness, Elowen said softly. Marcella's smile was small but real. Will you teach me? Elowen's heart warmed. If you truly wish to learn. They parted that day not as rivals but as something closer to friends. Not yet close, but hopeful. The town shifted too. Whispers that once stung turned into words of respect. Have you met Lady Elowen? She saved my grandmother. Such a kind soul. So skilled with healing. The Earl chose wisely, most wisely indeed. Elowen walked with her head high, not from vanity but from quiet certainty. She knew her worth. Finally. Truly. Cedric saw the change, and joy lit his eyes. You are magnificent, he told her one evening as they strolled the gardens. I am myself, Elowen replied. Just me. But that is enough. More than enough, Cedric said. You are everything I never dared to hope for. The household thrived under her guidance. Servants once sullen grew cheerful. Workers once careless became diligent. She makes us want to be better, Mrs. Chun confided to Cedric. Dr. James himself asked Elowen to become his partner. Your skills surpass mine in many ways, he said with sincerity. For the first time, she accepted a profession of her own work, her own achievement, her own legacy. Word spread beyond Greystone. Travelers came from neighboring towns, even distant villages, to see the healing lady of the Vale. Yet Elowen never let the praise swell her pride. She remembered too well what it felt like to be overlooked, dismissed, forgotten. She vowed no one under her care would ever feel the same. The young maids were taught to read. Stable boys learned their numbers. Everyone has worth, Elowen said. Everyone deserves a chance to grow. Cedric watched her with a love so deep it rooted itself in his very soul. His once empty house now rang with laughter, purpose, and life. Do you ever regret it? Elowen asked him one evening. Choosing the plain sister? He cupped her face with reverence. I did not choose the plain sister. I chose the extraordinary woman. Her voice trembled. I am not extraordinary. You are to me. You always will be, he whispered. The old pain was gone from his eyes, the hollow loneliness gone from his heart. Elowen had healed more than sickness and wounds. She had healed his spirit, and he had healed hers. Together they were whole, not because they were perfect, but because they were perfect for each other. Their victory was not over her family, nor the cruel gossip of the town. Their victory was over fear, over doubt, over the lies that once bound them. The triumph was becoming who they were meant to be. 2 years slipped by like a gentle river, slow and steady, filled with quiet joy. The estate flourished under Elowen's hand. The gardens grew wild and beautiful. The halls sang with laughter and warmth. Each evening, she and Cedric walked the grounds, hand in hand, hearts as one. She still wore simple gowns, but now by choice, not shame. Her face glowed with health, her eyes with love and purpose. The new school opens next week, she told Cedric as they paused by the rose garden. She had founded a school for all children, rich and poor alike. Mrs. Johnson will teach letters. Dr. James will share his healing. I will teach everything else. Cedric smiled, his voice rich with pride. It will change their lives as you changed mine. We changed each other, Elowen corrected softly. The healing clinic thrived as well. Families came from 3 counties, some with coin, some with only hope. Elowen never turned away the poor, never refused the desperate. Healing is a gift, she said, and gifts must be shared. Young women came to her, eager to learn. You need not be beautiful, she told them. You must be useful, kind, and brave. She was raising a generation who would know their worth from the start. Marcella visited often now. She had grown, softened, and turned her beauty to good use, working with orphans in the city. One afternoon she clasped Elowen's hands. You were right. Real beauty is not in appearance, but in what we do. The sisters were close at last, true friends as they were always meant to be. Their parents had quieted, age and regret dulling their cruelty. They never voiced apology, but when they looked at Elowen now, there was respect. Perhaps even something like pride. Greystone prospered. The workers were content, the servants cheerful, the estate a place of refuge. People arrived broken and left whole. Just as we did, Cedric said one night by the same fire where they had first shared their fears. Do you ever miss it? Elowen asked. The quiet life before all this? Cedric thought carefully. I missed the peace at times, but not the emptiness. You filled all the hollow places. You made everything bright. A soft cry drifted down from upstairs. Their son, baby James, was waking. Elowen rose, but Cedric caught her hand. Let me, he said gently, love shining in his eyes. He adored caring for their child, this miracle they had created together. Elowen watched him go, her heart brimming until she thought it might burst. She had everything she once believed impossible: love, purpose, family, respect. And most of all, she had herself. Her true self, at last unchained. Sarah, older now but still kind, appeared in the doorway. Your Grace, she said with a warm smile. Just Elowen, Sarah. Always just Elowen. Sarah's eyes glistened. We all see it, you know. How far you've come. How strong you are. You saved us, not just with healing, but with hope. Hope that plain girls can be extraordinary. Hope that kindness wins. Cedric returned then, carrying baby James, dark-haired like his father, with gentle eyes like his mother. The infant reached out tiny arms for Elowen, and she smiled, wide and true. He knows he is loved, Cedric said softly. As we all should know, Elowen replied. She looked around the room, fire glowing, family close, hearts full. The girl who once sat in a cold, gray chamber was gone forever. This was Elowen now, healer, teacher, mother, wife, leader, friend. Beloved, respected, strong, and above all free. Free of old wounds, free of cruel voices, free of small, broken dreams, free to be exactly who she was meant to be. Each morning, the mirror in her chamber reflected the truth. No longer a plain girl, but a woman of worth, of substance, of quiet, radiant beauty. Cedric saw it. Their son saw it. The world saw it. But best of all, Elowen saw it too. And she would never forget again. Their love story was complete. But their life together was only beginning. Forever and always, they would choose each other. Forever and always, they would be.